Given the timing of that goal and the desire and courage it took to come back into that one, does it feel a bit like an opportunity missed?
Yeah, of course. I think we had the worst possible start. We never wanted to start like that. We didn't touch the ball, to be honest, and we gave away such a slack goal. It's really unlike us. But I thought the reaction after that, defensively, really sound, and we just grew into the game. Even in the first half, I felt we were probably beginning to grow towards the end. The half-time probably came at a bad time for us. But we were growing into the game, we were starting to feel really comfortable, and we spoke about that at half-time. And I thought the second half performance there was outstanding. Although we've come away with nothing, but you know, I thought the performance, the desire to get forward, the desire to try and get something out of the game was magnificent.
It's just finding that extra bit, isn't it? But again, it's hard to say that given how quality aside the Morocco are.
It just shows you how difficult it is to win a game at the World Cup. I've seen a lot of negative stuff about us winning against Haiti in the first game, and it baffled me, to be honest, because it's so difficult. Every team is of a top level, and it shows you how hard it is to win games of football at this level. So delighted with the response, but gutted about the result. I think, you know, the performance probably deserved a point.
Shake your time.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Ian Crocker and to Danny Higginbotham. So Morocco go to the top of Group C with 4 points. Scotland still on 3. Brazil and Haiti meet shortly, and Haiti know now, because of that result, because of Morocco's 3 points, that if they lose to Brazil, Haiti will be out of the World Cup. That game is coming your way. Interesting scenes back there in the Boston area between the Morocco players, but they take away all 3 points. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Thierry Henry watching on. Nothing to be ashamed about. Zlatan losing to the World Cup semi-finalists of 2022. But will Scotland be incredibly disappointed today?
They have 3 points. They still have another game to go. And with this new format of World Cup, the third position can also go through. So they shouldn't be too sad because they're playing against a good team. Morocco didn't have their best game today. But remember, it's a top 10 nation in the ranking, and they played with stability today, Morocco, but I think Scotland, the last third of the pitch, was not good enough.
A line for the goal scorer today, and he had a goal, of course, in the first game. Ismail Saibari, heading, it sounds like, to Bayern Munich. You like him?
Yeah, I do like him. I like the way he's been playing at Eindhoven. He can play on the right, he can play on the left, and now he can show that he can play in the middle. That was a great finish the other day against Brazil. Another great finish in a different way. With power, as Zlatan said, aim for the head of the goalkeeper. That's what you said, right? And he will flinch.
For the head, and the goalie will flinch, and it goes in the net.
Exactly, but it looks like... Did he sign for Bayern?
On his way, not quite yet, but I think agreed fee.
Okay, it makes sense because that's the type of player that Vincent Kompany like. But look, you can say about Scotland also that they pushed Morocco till the end. So it's not they lost, but it's how they lost. It's okay. In brackets, if I can say, to lose like that. But I thought they were going to be a bit more direct in the game, because every time they went direct and playing for that flick, they did trouble Morocco. But look, it's not all over for them. They can concentrate on Brazil. It will be a difficult task, but let's see.
Scotland a 1-0 win and a 1-0 defeat.
Lots of talk about whether it should have been a penalty for Scott McTominay. We'll go to Christina Uncle, our referee analyst, in a second. But looking at the replays that we've seen, what did you think, Roy?
I don't think it's a penalty. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of looking to go down. Yeah.
I thought you were going to go to me and say, yeah, I think it was a penalty. Stonewall penalty.
Yeah. Did you think it was a penalty, Duncan?
Absolutely.
Hand on heart.
It was a penalty. There was a wee bit of touch. It was a big touch, and McTominay goes, and he's running at speed, and I think you can get him.
I think he's looking to go down. There's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think the defender the Moroccan player puts his leg out, but I don't think he gets enough of him for it to be a penalty. I mean, he does get across him, but not for a penalty. I think he was going down anyway, Big Scott, but Big Dunk says it's a stonewall. I'm not going to disagree with him.
I thought McGinn was maybe a penalty.
You think they should have had 5 penalties, don't you?
Well, certainly 2 penalties
at least 2.
So if you look at here, I don't think there's any contact. I mean, he kind of falls across him more than anything else.
I think he's looking to go down.
Come on, Ange. There's a bit of contact there. Come on.
Well, there's going to be a little bit of contact.
It's a physical game, isn't it? Yeah, there's bound to be contact.
Christina, in all seriousness, do you have an angle that we don't, which is a little bit more illuminating than the one maybe we have seen and show everybody at home?
Yeah, no, there's 2 angles from behind. You have one in the lower back and one kind of the high. And even that reverse camera angle, right, shows you the amount of contact that you see. So I still think it is a penalty kick. And I understand that the referee is Uzbekistan referee. He's known for having more of a higher level of physical contact needed. But you don't need a lot for this to be a penalty, right? So we're not giving a penalty because of the severity of the challenge. We're giving the penalty more from the technical element side of it. It's a simple foul. There is contact at the knee portion, and then one can argue that there might be another angle that shows that there's a step a bit on that left boot. And once you get those 2, let alone just that minimum one there in the knee, that for me is what I've seen given multiple times as a penalty decision on this. And it's also not lost on me that the VAR in this match was the one who did recommend a penalty in the France-Senegal game. There might have been a little bit of a hesitation there as well, too, from him to be able to recommend it down. But when you have a referee who's not giving a lot of fouls that some would call simple fouls, I can see the hesitation from the VAR. But I do think it's still a penalty. So I'm with Duncan on this one.
OK. Well, you're with Duncan. Well, actually, because the France-Senegal was very controversial, wasn't it, when they went to the screen and didn't give the penalty in favour of Mbappe?
Yeah, but Christian makes a good point there, but he did let a lot go in the game. Yeah. There was a lot of people going down. There was a lot of heavy challenges, which we normally we'd see as a free kick. Yeah. So if he kept that attitude up throughout the game, especially in the penalty box, I still don't think it was a penalty.
Did Scotland do enough to merit an equaliser?
I think in the back half, the last 5-10 minutes of the first half, they were better. They were better in the second half when they made the substitutions. I thought they were a bit better. Maybe not quite enough. Obviously, Morocco had the best chances, they had the most chances. We never really had any shots on target, I don't think. I can't remember their goalkeeper making a save, although we hit the side netting. So maybe not quite enough, but, you know, on another day you get a penalty and you come away with a draw and you're in the next round.
They were half chances, Ange. They weren't what we might call full-fat chances, were they?
Yeah, agree, but at the same time, I think...
It's not an emergency for Scotland yet. They can still get through, so...
They're not happy about that penalty not being given.
I think what you have to say is that Morocco did look a little bit ragged towards the end, and that's been a consistent theme now in both games. So I guess if you go back right to the start, Scotland would be kicking themselves that they conceded so early, because there was no doubt that as the game wore on, and Ben Doak coming on made a big difference, I thought, just with his energy. And then Big Scott McTominay was in the box a lot more often and getting on the end of things. So I think there is a consistent theme with Morocco in both games where they tailed off, and I think Scotland will just be kicking themselves that they didn't start the game better.
Yeah, I think if they go back, if they do go out, if they get beaten by Brazil and don't qualify, I think they'll be kicking themselves, because we're talking about having a bit more belief. Ali spoke in the commentary about they grew in the second half. But why does it take them to the second half where Morocco might slacken off a little bit? They've qualified, they've had some great results over the last few years. Have that confidence, belief at the start of the game. Why wait an hour to say, oh, I think we could get something out of this game? It's too late.
It's fair enough, that, Duncan, isn't it, what Roy's saying?
Yeah, we just didn't start well enough, did we? I mean, we went with an aggressive formation. We went 4-4-2, really, which was a surprise to us. He still went for it a bit, and he made his substitutions. He went for it, the coach in the end, but maybe it was too late. We should have started much better. And the damage was done in the first 5 or 10 minutes.
You can't wait for something to happen. You have to go and make something happen. We praised them a little bit the other night. They weren't at their best. They look a bit sluggish, but they got the result. Today, the way they started the game, you're thinking, Scotland, you have to do better than that, particularly against Brazil.
Well, that's going to be the challenge against Brazil, Ange, because we don't know. 3 points might be enough to get you through. We don't know. We'll probably have a better idea by Wednesday. But that adds another layer of complexity for Steve Clarke, doesn't it, in the terms of how he approaches the game against Brazil? Yeah,
I think so. And you know, he spoke about sort of rotating the players from the last game, so he may be looking at, you know, see how the players are backing up. And look, it could be a big game for Brazil as well, that last game, in terms of top spot. So, you know, both teams will have something riding on it. But there are lessons to learn out of it. And like Roy says, the thing is, you don't want to leave this tournament kicking yourself that, you know what, if we had have just shown a little bit more conviction and belief at the start of a game, we could have got something out of it. Because, like I said, I think as impressive as we say Morocco are in both games, they've tailed off, and today they tailed off quite markedly when they made the substitutions.
Of the World Cup, and it was beautifully taken, Ange, but I wonder if you were saying the way they tailed off, is that's what's stopping them from being a really good team? Because they've got plenty of the elements to be a very good side.
Absolutely, and also the substitutions he made, they really tailed off. It was the other strong sides that they're going to be competing with. When players have come on, they've made a difference. I just thought they really tailed off. Great start, and Roy spoke about their sort of vertical running in behind, their ability to break open defences. Yeah, like Scotland will be kicking themselves that, you know, they're so open at the beginning of a game when you know the threats that Morocco have in behind, and they got off to the best possible start. But they did that against Brazil as well, and I think there'd be a worry sign there that the drop-off is fairly significant when they meet top-level opposition.
When it comes to the Brazil match, Duncan, what are you thinking maybe will be uppermost in Steve Clarke's mind? Obviously, to start a lot better, but I'm thinking in terms of personnel, I'm thinking in terms of system, and going back to what we were saying to Ange, we'll have a better idea by then what they will need.
Yeah, but Brazil aren't the Brazil old. There's no Ronaldo or Rivaldo there or Roberto Carlos in the Brazilian team. Yeah. So come on, we can have a good go at them. Brazil aren't the team they were back in the day. But I think there's a wee bit of encouragement there at the end of the day. We finished the game well. We pushed quite hard. We just never had that quality really to get that goal, did we? That's going to be a worry for us, scoring goals. It's a worry for every team, isn't it? Yeah,
and we know they lack quality, but it's a mindset. We could talk about the team shape and being hard to break down, but when you're a goal down after 70 seconds, it's your mindset. Where's your belief? Where's your confidence? And that has to come from the manager and the staff and the senior players. Scotland, as I said, they're almost waiting for something to happen. And of course, if they do that against Brazil, we all agree Brazil aren't that brilliant, but they'll be more than good enough to beat Scotland.
Leadership. You'd be looking at the senior players 100%. To do a little bit more.
When you start a game like that, talking about playing a back four, a back five, whatever system you're playing, you got to start quickly. Yeah. You can't wait to goal down to say, oh lads, that's a bit of a setback. No, you've got to be quick out of the blocks.
There's only so much you can do as the coach, Ange, isn't it? You need your on-field lieutenants to actually be leading in that sense.
And you heard sort of Lewis Ferguson there, and what he's saying is right. It is very, very hard to win a game at World Cup level, which is why you don't want to be conceding goals like that and giving teams a head start, because to get back into a game at World Cup level is extremely difficult. They'll be kicking themselves because they would have spoken about, you know, the threats that Morocco have. We spoke about how Morocco started against Brazil. There is no way that Stephen Clarke did not say exactly those words, but when you get out there and the game starts, that's where you need, and they had enough experience out there to be ready for it.
Quickest goal of this World Cup so far, the quickest goal Scotland have ever conceded in a World Cup, 70 seconds, Morocco in front. You were just saying off air, Roy, it underlines Morocco's approach, that they were straight at it.
Yeah, what I love when you watch Morocco, even we saw the first goal against Brazil, and obviously Scotland suffered it. They're happy to go in behind, and you can see the Scottish players, even the back five, almost thinking, can we get a feel for the game? Obviously 70 seconds in Morocco. No, you're not. If we see space, we're going to have runners, and obviously they've got the quality with it. Obviously Scotland lads on the heels, Hanley taking gambles, shocking start.
Yep, a gamble, as Roy says, from Grant Hanley then to step out, Ange, when there's no pressure on the ball, really.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't start as we thought they would with the back five, and obviously, as Roy said early on, it looked like they were sort of still finding their feet a little bit. We were talking about it with Duncan. What happened in the end was that they all got sort of attracted by the ball. The left centre-back drifted away, and then you'll see with the vision that, you know, Grant Hanley probably commits the ultimate sin of playing offside, putting his hand up rather than following the runner.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't play offside there. Just go with the runner. I agree with Angela. Left centre-back's a bit out of position, but just go with the runner. 2 minutes into the game, don't let the guy come off your shoulder. And he can see him. The left centre-back's too far across, but you've got to go with that runner. You must go with the runner. And boy, finishes it off fantastically well. It's a great finish, to be fair to him.
Super finish.
And then we thought about Tierney playing as a back five, and that's what we thought he was going to stop it, weren't we, Ange? But he wasn't there, so if he'd been in the back five, he might have covered that run, you know what I mean?
But the thing is, there isn't anyone on the right-hand side you see both Hendry and Robertson. We've got no one to pick up, so there should have been tighter. They should have been able to make that run in between, not taking away from the finish, though. It's a hell of a finish, and that's the threat that Morocco have, you know.
Brilliant finish. And even the body language of the Scotland players there, it's like they're daydreaming. There's a big build-up to the game. They weren't great the other night, but they got to win. And they're starting the game like that. It's like they're kind of in a jovial mood. You got to be switched on. Again, I always go back to what do you think Steve Clarke would have said to him as they're walking up? Start quick. Yeah. And they're on their heels.
They're lucky in a way. There was a little bit like the first half against Brazil that Morocco didn't make the most of some really good opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, Scotland would be delighted going in at 1-0, but they were so poor, and they got a little bit of encouragement toward the end of the first half. But Morocco a little bit slack with 1 or 2 more opportunities, and it could have been a lot worse for Scotland. Again, we're seeing the movement. We talk about mobility, pressing at the right times. And it's just even that little bit lack of quality from Morocco. We get into these positions. A little bit fortunate for Scotland here. It doesn't fall to one of the Moroccan players. But the warnings are coming. The warnings are coming. We spoke about the game. They're mobile and they like to go in behind. I love that side of the game, because you're thinking the Scotland players, we've got them in front of us, but the danger's running in behind you. And we saw that the other night against Brazil. So Scotland had to be ready for this, but this is the big opportunity. Again, little details, slow ball. I mean, not a great ball to him, it's bobbling up. Scotland, again, poor defensively. We talk about communications, distances, and Steve Clarke, no doubt, will be hugely frustrated.